It's most definitely a tale of two games, but I want to know if you think the Switch 2 has finally reached its potential and has cracked the code. Like, is the Switch 2 now showing you it is what you always wanted it to be? What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. We've got some insane footage today that I think, at least for me, proves the Switch 2 wins. Proves the Switch 2 wins. I know that maybe the last Direct wasn't what everybody wanted, but for the most part, they've been delivering game after game. And now, after a huge third-party hiccup, we have what I think is the seal of the deal. But you gotta let me know in the comments down below, do you agree? Does this seal the deal for you? Or are you on the other side? Because the other side was earlier this week when Borderlands 4 got delayed indefinitely for Nintendo Switch 2. That game was supposed to be out in early October, and now it's, who knows? The worst kind of a delay where they don't have a new date. It's a very damning delay because you don't even know when the game's coming out. And it really brought me back to the horrible feeling I had when Marvel's Midnight Suns got delayed on Switch and never reappeared. Do you remember that both Marvel's Midnight Suns and Dying Light 2 were supposed to be on Switch 1 and just vanish? That's the kind of freaky feeling I got when Borderlands 4 said, hey, we can't make it work right now. We got to put more time and effort into the game. And like, hey, if it's not going to work, if it's not going to be great, you got to get it done. And whether that's because they got a late dev kit, whether it's because their engine is just struggling on the Switch 2, whatever it might be, that game's had performance issues elsewhere as well. So it's not a huge surprise, but it is a huge bummer. Then out of nowhere, we have coming through in the clutch the game that I think just shows the Switch 2 won. I think we can all agree that in today's society, you can't afford to just throw money away. And you especially can't afford to throw money away when you don't even know that you're throwing it away. I was mortified to find out that I've had a second account for years that I was paying on monthly and I didn't even know, but thank goodness today's sponsor is Rocket Money. They helped me erase the subscription that I was not using and didn't even know I had. They are a phenomenal app you can download right now by clicking the link in the description down below. They're going to help you get rid of unwanted subscriptions. They're going to help you lower bills. Their negotiators will go in and get you a better price for what you're already paying for and what you want to pay for, and help eliminate what you don't want to be paying for. Plus, it's a great budgeting tool as well. So make sure to go to rocketmoney.com/switchforce to get started today for free, and they will help you out like they help me. Every time you click the link, it helps support the channel as well. So thank you so much to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video, and all of you, go out there and get your money back that you didn't even know you were losing. Enter footage of a game, and I think it's far visually superior to Borderlands 4. Look, I think this is the best looking game that the Switch 2 has ever tried to run, and so you might expect that this footage is going to be sucky. We've seen people say that early handheld footage of games like Elden Ring was poor. Early footage of Borderlands 4 handheld was poor. You know, maybe on the docked version, it ended up looking okay, and I hope that those games end up coming out fine. But look at this crispy, delicious, insane lighting, putting DLSS to work, 30 to 40 frames per second handheld footage of Resident Evil 9 Requiem from Tokyo Game Show. This is the type of showpiece that proves to me the Switch 2 can get it done. Honestly, it might end up just being the developers that decide whether the Switch 2 runs the game super well or not, because clearly it seems like the Switch 2 is more than capable. This game looks incredibly good in all the footage we've seen thus far, and while it's shown off on PS5, PC, all that kind of stuff, this is the Switch 2 version, in handheld mode nonetheless, looking amazing. It looks super, super good. This is crispy as all heck. This game is not out for another 5 months. They've got tons of runway to polish it even further, and boom, shakalaka, the Switch 2 can do it. This makes me insanely happy. Okay, I think this is the game where I was like, dude, if Switch 2 can secure Resident Evil 9, we know that they're in business for all third-party games. They did it. And then it's like, if they can secure Resident Evil 9 and have it run well, they did it even more. And then it's like, if they can secure Resident Evil 9, have it run well in docked, but also play totally great in handheld with the lighting looking like a next-gen experience, the Switch 2 has totally and officially arrived. Any questions I've had about this system not being able to run third-party stuff, or picking and choosing from older games, or having issues depending on who and what and how big the title is, This is the newest game we've ever seen on Switch 2. Keep that in mind. This is the newest game. Nintendo hasn't shown us anything that's holiday 2026. We don't have any third-party titles. This is the newest cutting-edge title that the Switch 2 is running, and look how glorious it is. That to me is a stellar achievement. And despite being disappointed in the Borderlands 4 delay and feeling like maybe that was setting third-party stuff back, and despite hearing people say, oh my god, Elden Ring and Borderlands 4 ain't running well, they're looking tough, the Switch 2 is going to be in worse shape than we thought, this proves that if the developers can get it done, if they get the dev kit with time, and if they are able to make their engine work on the Switch 2, you can do incredible stuff. Now, we know Nintendo is going to deliver great art styles. Who knows? Maybe they'll end up doing something super visually impressive. We've already got some great visuals from Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, and hopefully the next 3D Mario game pushes that even further. But here's the stuff that we really wanted. The stuff that the Switch 1 couldn't do. The Switch 1 was capable of playing some third-party games and some third-party classic titles, but often it was at a huge sacrifice, and often it couldn't get newer games. This now is day and date, a brand new title with what I'd say is very little sacrifice. And some people might say the antithesis of sacrifice. It's actually a benefit. You're getting portability for your Resident Evil Requiem. You can take it wherever you want, and it looks darn amazing. I am so glad that we've seen this, because I think it does sort of seal the deal for me that Nintendo Switch 2 is as powerful as we needed it to be. If they can get day and date RE9, boom, we're good. That means other day and date games should be surely coming in 2026. Other games that have very powerful and modernized graphical styles, graphical fidelity, lighting models, particle technology, gameplay oomph are going to be able to run good on Switch 2. Now, it's a different story if they all do run that good, right? Like, there is that caveat, like, just because they can doesn't mean they will, but the possibility is there. The possibility wasn't there with Switch 1. It was something that was impossible. It didn't matter how great the devs were. Yeah, Panic Button could come through, and they'd be able to say, hey, we can make this game that shouldn't run on Switch, run on Switch. But there was just a limit to that, right? There was a ceiling where they could not get past because they ran into a roadblock, a strict power limitation roadblock. And the Switch 2 doesn't seem to have that. I mean, I'm sure it'll be reached at some point, but right now we're sitting so pretty with glorious footage of Resident Evil 9. And I think this shows how well Capcom is integrated with Nintendo and is integrated with this Switch 2 development cycle. The RE engine is just purring on the platform, and that bodes very well for future Capcom titles. For Monster Hunter in particular, which I think the next Monster Hunter, after maybe a little bit of a downturn with Wilds, I'd say. I think World had a better mind share around it. Wilds, you know, they were complaining about sales on PS5, and I don't feel like that game has had the staying power of World. They can do the next Monster Hunter, Switch 2 fully included, Switch 2 running fully great, and make it the best Monster Hunter ever. You know, Capcom obviously has lots of other franchises that they can bring forward. They can share their knowledge, and others can copy what they're doing in terms of achieving this level of fidelity on the Switch 2. And it's going to be a very huge year for the third-party titles. I think we started off with some cool ones, but I'd say we started off slow. Not as slow as Switch 1, of course, or Wii U or anything like that, but in terms of what is to come, I've always said this. I've said this before it was even announced. The Switch 2 is going to go down as a stronger, better system with a stronger, better library than the Switch 1, because not only will Nintendo continue to capitalize on their insane development talent and these franchises that just get better and better as the years go on, but it'll have the third-party big ones and the top-tier franchise big guns that were never possible on the Switch 1, and that complete this library and make the Switch 2 something insanely remarkable. More than a Steam Deck, more than an ROG Ally, more than an Xbox, and more than a PlayStation. Do you believe that the Switch 2 is there now? Seeing Resident Evil 9 Requiem on the platform, despite the Borderlands 4 hiccup, despite people saying Elden Ring didn't run great handheld, this is 5 months out and it's looking freaking fantastic. Have they won you over? Are you set and sealed that the Switch 2 is the powerful system Nintendo needed and can deliver the third-party games, whatever they are, whenever they are, that you want? Because I think the answer is undoubtedly yes. Let me know your take in the comments down below. So pumped to play this thing on Switch 2 on launch day. That's a great feeling. Do not go ahead and delay this game or cancel it or let me down or make me go back on my words. Capcom, you're doing a magical job. Please keep that going until February. In the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching these videos. I'll keep them going. So for now, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive there. Love y'all lots. SwitchForce out.